Here we have the new Arturia KeyStep 37 Mark II, and if you saw my previous demo of the KeyStep Mark II, the smaller one, you'll know exactly what we're going to get here. It's got a completely upgraded sequencer and arpeggiator with mutative capabilities, giving all sorts of options for manipulating chords and sequences. You can set up an arpeggio from one of the 16 styles, mutate it, and then save that as a sequence, and you can use any sequence as the basis for an arpeggio. On this, we've also got 3 LFOs, a vibrato LFO, plus the option for an LFO envelope or loop and envelope for each of the 2 CV outputs. And we've got the new upgraded keyboard with aftertouch as well. And just like its smaller and cheaper sibling, this has an additional modulation CV output and uses USB-C or 5-pin MIDI, and it is powered by the USB. And I don't want to reiterate everything I showed on my previous KeyStep demo where I deep dive into the various functions. I'll put a link to that in the description, but I'll try to give enough of an overview here for you to understand what's going on. But I really want to just play around and show you what the overall concept is and how it's intended to be used, because it is a really fun thing. And just by comparison, here's the original KeyStep 37, and the differences are really obvious, aren't they? We've got just the 3 knobs here for the sequencer and the arpeggiator, whereas on the new one we've got all sorts of things happening behind these buttons. And I'll just quickly run you through this interface here so you understand what I'm doing as I navigate my way around it. But we've got our main modes here, the sequencer, the arp and the chord. We've got a mutate button here, the mutate, hit that and it changes things according to the scale that you're in and the chord that you're in. So press shift and we get access to all these blue functions here. And if we long hold one of these buttons, like sequence, we get the sequencer menu. So initialize the pattern. If we want to load a pattern, for example, so shift, sequencer pattern, let's load 14. There's nothing in there, I don't think. Let's load 15. Let's load 16. And then we've got different banks there. So sequencer 1, bank 1, pattern 1. So in the menu itself, pattern initialize, we've initialized it. And then we've got automation clear, because we do have automation on this. We can record modulation, and then of course you can send that out as a CV. Sequencer length, record counting. We do have a counting on this, a visual counting, so you can get like a visual metronome. Quantize, record automation, pattern tempo, stuff like that. If we go into the ARP menu, so hit ARP and hold it, ARP length and the ARP retrigger, so you can change the ARP length on this, which is pretty cool. And then chord mode, let's take the ARP off for now. So there's the chords. And again, if we hit this, well, let's hold that. So we're in the menu. So we've got, obviously, access to our different scales. We can create our own if we hold chord. There you go, that's being recorded. I don't know if that's shown up on the camera or not, but if we go to the menu on this, we've got spread modes, strum modes. You can sync the strum types. You can strum up, you can strum down. You've got an alternative up, you've got an alternative down. We've got different voicing modes, so you can have the bass an octave below or 2 octaves below. So there's lots of little things you can do with the chord. In fact, let's quickly just show you that. Shows you how the menu works as well. So change the spread. We can spread it using aftertouch or velocity. So as I press harder, we get more notes. That's quite cool. Strum, let's do it strumming synced to the BPM. Let's do it in nice and slow so you can hear what's happening. Quarter triplets. Let's do it a bit faster maybe. Nice. And then we've got strum types up and down, as I said. Let's go to the alternative up. Let's go to a down. And then, oh, I've come out of that menu. Hit it again. Voicing. So let's add a bass 2 octaves below. And this all works with the sequencer and the arp as well, so you're in the scale. And to change the scale on that, so shift and scale, global scale, what we're on off at the minute, let's put onto a major. Set it off. So you can hear it's forcing the major scale there, and a minor, then lots of other different types of scales as well. How many have you got in there? We've got the Mixolydian, what's that one there? Locrian, all the scales that you might expect. Let's turn chord off. So that's basically how you access everything. Shift for the blue things, hit the different modes, and hold the button to get into the menu for that function. If we come back just for the main functions of the main menu system, we're still in that one. Let's come back, hit the button there. So we've got MIDI settings, sync settings, CV pitch, CV gate settings. So if we come into the MIDI settings, output channel, input channel, and then this is where we set the different CCs. So different CCs for bank A, not 1, 2, 3, and 4. Come back, go to bank B, not 1, 2, 3, and 4. Hit it, change the value. I've just probably wrecked something that I've set up by doing that. CV pitch. So the format of the pitch, volt per octave, hertz per volt. Something I completely forgot when I was doing a demo the other day, and that the KeyStep did that actually. Pitch reference, so which octave you're in there, pitch bend range, wheel vibrato. So yeah, you can have a wheel vibrato, how much it vibrates by or vibratos by, and then a vibrato rate. So this is effectively a little LFO I mentioned earlier. Then if we go into the CV gate options, gate format, volt trigger of 12 volts or 5 volts. Hopefully you're getting the idea. Everything's basically in here. And if we hit shift and CV mod, turn the knob, and this is where we see what modulation we can send out of that CV. So this is where you access those additional LFOs. If I find it, velocity, aftertouch, modulation, where is it? Oh, there we go. So we've got envelopes and LFOs in there. The LFO is a pretty comprehensive LFO, different wave shapes, and change the rate. So you can send an LFO out of each of the CV mods or an envelope. So it does make the whole thing a lot more flexible. Okay, then let's do something with it. We'll start off with the arp and do something nice and simple, just a really basic 3-note chord. Plus hold, so we'll just leave that playing. So we've got different octaves, so shift and hit the octaves. And we've got different ways of playing this. Up and down, down, 2 up, 2 down as played. So just chords over the octaves. I think that's random. This is now random, but with less notes, even less notes. Some long notes, some short notes. More long notes than short notes. Some chords, more chords, long chords and short chords. You know, lots of different ways of doing it. And then we've got this user here, and I'll show that in a second. But come back to just having it as a straight up pattern. And now if we hit mutate, it changes it. That's quite nice though. Yeah, I like that. So we can send this to the sequencer. We've got to be playing something, so shift to sequencer. Arp's now copied to the sequencer. So we press stop. So we're on bank 4, preset 14, and let's save that. Shift save. Let's save it to 13. Okay. So now in the sequencer, that's an octave lower. We've now saved that pattern as a sequence. Pretty cool. And now we can send this back to the arp and do different things with it. So if I come back to the arp, and then we use this user arp here, so shift 16. So if we play again, that's exactly the same because it's based on the same notes. and it's from the sequencer playing the arp that we saved from this in the first place. But if we play different notes, it'll do slightly different things. So that's an octave higher, but let's change the notes. So it's a different arp, but it's based on the pattern we've put into the sequencer. Nice, that, isn't it? Clever. I started off with just a sequencer pattern going up a couple of octaves, mutated it, changed it, saved it as a sequence. Now you can play it as a sequence. But in the arp mode now, that sequence can be changed by changing the notes that you're playing. That's the same notes. Just a really effective way of being able to manipulate and change a pattern to use it all over the place. Very, very clever. I love that. So let's come back to the sequencer now. So go to the sequencer. Let's load in Shift 12. There's nothing in that. It's super simple to record stuff on this. There we go. There's an 8-step pattern. And as with all the Arturia stuff, if you press hold, you get a rest. Press hold and a key, you get a tie. But this is a polyphonic sequencer. So if I just play that, and I press Shift and this key here, this will turn blue, and that means we're in overdub mode. It's that simple, and we can, when we're in record mode, go in and edit all those notes if you want to. So you can see the 3 notes on the chord. And we can go and change them if we want. So let's go back, play again. And we can record modulation. So if we record that, let's put on overdub. You can hear that modulation's in there, and if you did use the modulation as a CV output, you can automate the modulation in your rack within a sequence. And then we've got our other functions here, so shift, time divisions, triplets, nudge the sequence round, more octaves. Let's turn it into a major. That'll upset things. Oh, it's already in the major. Let's put it into a minor. Oh yeah, there you go. It's doing something. So you can play over it. Press hold. Now we're transposing. So the beauty of this for me is that it does have the ability just to mess around and find all sorts of nice little trancy arpeggios and stuff. Compared to this, I mean, I love this. I use this all the time. You might be able to see it. It looks a bit tattered and battered. But I never ever use, well, hardly ever use the sequencer or the arpeggiator on this. It's like super simple. But with this, I think I'm going to get a lot more use out of this, just coming up with nice little ideas. When I'm doing the demos, for example, you know, idea after idea after idea, maybe a nice little way of just quickly generating something nice and tuneful. The one thing I have noticed on it though that I'd like to have on it that I've not found on it yet is that if we look here, we've got the MIDI CV values, that's bank D. Again, I don't know if the camera's picking this up, it might be too small to see on this camera. Bank D, CCs, bank A, bank B, bank C. It might be nice to be able to save the settings for different setups. So for example, using something like the Dreadbox Nymph, it's got a second set of functions for each of the sliders. So it could load in the Nymph settings. You can do that on the MIDI control center, but you can't do it on this, I don't think, as it stands. But that's the only thing that, as I've been playing with it, I thought, well, that'd be a nice addition. That'll make it a little bit more useful and a little bit more standalone. But yeah, as it is, It's a really nice, neat little bit of kit, and a very welcome upgrade to the KeyStep 37, the original one. Not that I found anything wrong with it, but I do love all these little things. I think it's just really handy, really nice, and offers a lot of noodling capabilities. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope that was of some use to somebody somewhere. If it was, please do subscribe, ring the bell, join me over on Patreon, all those sorts of things. I've got patches, I've got samples, I've got tutorials, and do take a look at my starskychord.com website as well. Again, patches, samples, tutorials, stuff you can buy, free bits and bobs. As I always say, it's nice if you pick up some of the cheap bits, as it all does help to support the channel. Anyway, thanks for staying to the very end. I hope you found that useful, and I will see you next time.